Set them to the side. By the way, all the bolts are the same length. Don't worry about getting them mixed up. Again, there are pry points at this case. There is one here. There's an ear here that's good to take something like a pair of channel locks and twist up. There's another ear here, good for tapping from the back side. As I said, I've already separated this one, so it's going to come apart easy. It's probably not going to happen quite so easy for you. There are bearings that ride inside this case, so even though I've already had it apart, it still takes a little persuasion. There we go. No thrust washers or anything on the inside of this one. All you need to do is set it to the side. Here you have, can you get that from that angle? Okay, can you see the inside of all this? Here you have the shift drum, shift forks, and the fork rod. All of this will pull out as an assembly. Grab a hold of this gear and just give it a little wiggle. Careful, it will all come out as an assembly. Careful as you pull it out. Set the shift drum to the side. Pay attention to the orientation of the shift forks. They go with a curved side down. There's a square side, it goes to the top. There's a curved side, it goes toward the bottom. It to the side. And you have your upper gear assembly. Changing the chain in this one is not quite so easy. You actually have to get a bearing puller, pull some of the bearings off, and finagle things back and forth. But I have already replaced the bearings with the ones out of my old tranny, which are still good. I'm going to set that assembly to the side, along with the shift rod, drum, and forks. Now we are going to get into the pinion assembly. Twist this around where you can see there's the pinion. This bearing you will require a small puller to take off. Get your puller set up. Move the bearing. Chances are that ring gear will also need to be pulled. Getting your puller in the right orientation to get this is kind of tricky. And cut this down. Now that we have our puller set up correctly, take that gear off. Pay attention to the orientation of it. Domed side up pour out. Now you can pull your pinion bearing. The pinion bearing on mine was exploded. I had to use the one out of the rusty disc. It sounds bad. I'm not going to run it long. Alright, using a number 30 Torx bit, remove the 4 bolts holding the bearing cap on. Now pull that bearing. If it does require a little persuasion, you can tap on it lightly from the other side. It shouldn't take much. I would use something soft. A piece of wood ought to work fine. There you go. In order to replace that bearing, it's held in with a snap ring. You simply remove the snap ring, use a puller, pull the old bearing off, put the other one back on, replace your snap ring. Reassembly is a reverse process. You now got an empty case. You can take it and spray some degreaser in, replace everything. If I were going through the trouble of doing all of this, I would definitely replace all the seals. There are only 3 seals in it, front and rear and the input. And reassembly is just reverse procedure with a couple of catches. Let's see, that goes to the side. There is, notice how that goes. That would go, this would be the front of the transfer case. Or tranny, keep wanting to call it transfer case. Reasons of assembly, because I'm going to be taking this thing back apart and doing all this again and applying my gasket sealer. These should be Loctited with blue Loctite. I would not recommend using red. Of course, you would go back around and torque those. I'm going to skip that step just so I can get this video shot tonight. Again, dome side down. Make sure the splines are lined up correctly. What I'm going to do is take a socket